So welcome back again to the course of Signal and System. So basically in last class we have studied some basic concepts related to classification of signal and what is signal basically in last class. So in this class basically we will discuss some continuous time as well as some discrete time signals. So we will discuss some basic continuous time signals. So let us start basic continuous time signal. So we will look some basic continuous time signals. Also, we will discuss some important properties of basic these signals, these continuous time signals. So let us discuss the first signal, that is your unit step signal. So the definition, all of you already know that as I am taking a continuous time signal, so it is ut equals to 1 for t greater than 0 and it is equals to 0 for t less than 0. So this is basically your unit step signal. So let us draw that unit step signal, how it looks like. So this is your unit step signal. So for t greater than 0, the value of unit step signal is 1 and for t less than 0, it is 0. Now we have shifted version of unit step signal, like you have ut minus t naught. So what is exactly ut minus t naught? So it is nothing but ut minus t naught is 1 for t greater than t naught and it is 0 for t less than t naught. So the graph is like this. So there is delay. Basically this ut minus t naught, you are providing delay. Okay, you are providing some delay. So this is your unit step signal. Then we will go slowly in the course at the starting, basically because we have to understand very basic things related to signal and system. Many of you know all these concepts, but maybe you are missing some of the concepts, maybe some properties you don't know. So I am going from basics only. Okay. So another signal is unit impulse signal. So what is unit step signal? What is the definition of unit step signal? So unit step signal is del t. Del t equals to 0 for t not equals to 0. It is infinity for t equals to 0. So this is your del t. Now if we integrate, so how this del t will form? First let us discuss how this del t will form. So let us take an rectangle. And what is the width of the rectangle? The width of the rectangle is epsilon and it is unit area. So what should be the height? It is 1 by epsilon. Now what is the condition? If epsilon tends to 0, it means you are going to narrow this. Okay. Basically you are going to narrow this figure. Let me draw again. So this is your rectangle and you have width epsilon, you have height 1 divided by epsilon. Now what you are doing, you are going to reduce the width. So it is unit area, basically it is unit area. What is basically epsilon into 1 by epsilon, what you will get? Unit. So basically if you are going to reducing the width, then you have to increase the height, because the area is 1 only. Again if you reduce this, again if you compress this figure, if you reduce the width, then your height will increase. So ultimately when epsilon tends to 0, 1 by epsilon tends to infinity. So basically you have 0 width and you have infinite amplitude. Now my question is it possible? Is it possible? So it is not possible. It is not possible to generate ideal impulse function. Okay, so if you plot the MATLAB, then what you are getting, if you plot, you are getting this. So there is peak. Okay, sometimes you are getting this type of peak. Okay, so this is basically del t if you generate in MATLAB. So basically it will not, that amplitude will not go to infinity, you will get some peak. That is practically possible. Okay, impulse means there is peak. So we have some properties related to this impulse function. So the first property is, if we integrate from minus infinity to plus infinity del t dt, then it is equals to 1. So basically the area, so basically this is your impulse, this is your impulse function. So basically if we integrate from minus infinity to plus infinity, basically the area under this curve is basically 1. Okay, the area under the impulse function is basically 1. Second thing is, if we multiply any test signal phi t, any continuous time test signal phi t with del t, what we will get? We will get phi 0. We will get phi 0, phi naught. Okay. So what is basically this phi naught is basically phi t when you are putting t equals to 0. Okay. So you can further generalize this expression. You can write, you can take integral from a to b phi t dt, phi t del t dt, that is equals to phi 0 undefined. So basically what you are getting, it is from a to b. Okay, a is less than 0 and 0 is b is greater than 0, then we have 0 for a less than b less than 0, or 0 is less than a less than b. It is undefined for a equals to 0 or b equals to 0. So this is basically generalized property. Now we can say that if we integrate from minus infinity to plus infinity phi t with some delay, if we provide some delay, then what we will get? We will get phi t naught. So basically what is phi t naught? It is phi t when you are putting t equals to t naught. Okay, Then we have another important property, that is scaling property. So basically, what is scaling property? If you scale the time, so basically this is scaling property. This is scaling property of impulse function. So basically what is scaling property, that del at is nothing but 1 divided by modulus of a into del t. So what is a? A is a scaling variable. A is scaling constant, not variable. A is scaling constant. Then we have another important property, that is del t is basically, del t is even signal. So in the last lecture I told you what is even signal. So if you draw the graph of this del t, if you draw the graph of del t, then at t equals to 0 it tends to infinity. So you can see that it is symmetric. It is symmetric along the y-axis. So if you see the graph, you can see that it is symmetric along the y-axis. So basically del t is an even signal. Okay, del t is an even signal. So if it is an even signal, then del minus t, if it is an even signal, then del minus t should be equal to del t. So if it is an even signal, then del minus t should, then del minus t should be equal to del t if it is an even signal. Because what is the property of even signal? If xt equals to x minus t equals to xt, then it is an even signal if the signal satisfy this property. So if the signal will satisfy this property, then x of minus t should be equal to xt. So this is even signal. Then we have xt multiplied by del t is x0 multiplied by del t. Okay, so what is that property? This property tells you that this is a continuous time signal. So basically this is sampling property. This is basically sampling. You are doing sampling. So what is happening, that let me explain this property. Suppose this is your xt. If this is your xt with respect to t, then if you have a del t, if you multiply these two signals, so what you will get? You will get a sample. You will get a sample at t equals to 0. Only this sample you will get. So if we take the delayed signal, suppose this is our xt, and if we are taking this delay signal, means it is del t minus t naught. If we multiply these two signals, basically at t naught we are getting sample. So this signal is basically this signal. Only at t naught we are getting sample. So basically we are getting here, we have xt naught, and this is your what is the value of this? It is xt naught, basically xt naught. So basically sorry, this is del t, and the amplitude is infinity. So this value is basically xt naught. So what is happening that when you multiplied xt with del t minus t naught, so you will get a sample at t naught. Okay, you will get a unit step sample at t naught. And what is the area? What is the area of this signal? If you integrate from minus infinity to plus infinity x t naught del t minus t naught dt, the area is equals to x t naught only. The area will be equals to x t naught only. So this is very important property, and basically this property is first step. So basically if we consider the PCM system, that is pulse cause modulation system, then the step 1 is basically sampling. The first step is basically sampling. We are multiplying. What we are doing, we are multiplying our signal. So this is our signal. We are multiplying our signal with impulse train. So after multiplication, what we are getting? We are getting samples only. We are getting samples only. So this is called sampling. This is called sampling property. This is called sampling property. So another thing is any continuous time signal. But this is very important property. If you have notebook, you can note down any continuous time signal xt can be expressed as xt equals to minus infinity to plus infinity x tau del t minus tau d tau. So basically this property is basically telling this is you can say that it is convolution. So basically this is called convolution operator. So this is basically the convolution operator. Okay. So we can take the generalized derivative. We can take the generalized derivative. So what is basically generalized derivative? Let us explain this first. If xt is basically if gt is generalized function, its nth generalized derivative g and t. Basically it is represented as g and d and gt divided. Basically we are taking this derivative of gt. So basically g and t is basically nth derivative of gt. Okay. So this generalized nth generalized derivative is defined by the following relations. So what is the relation? Please understand this. This relation is from minus infinity to plus infinity. Phi t, phi t, phi t, g and t dt equals to minus 1 raised to the power n minus infinite to plus infinite phi n t gt dt. So so this is basically that generalized derivative of gt. Okay, so this is the generalized formula. Now what is what is phi t? So where phi t is, so where phi t is a testing function which can be differentiated, which can be differentiated which can be differentiated an arbitrary number, which can be differentiated an arbitrary number of times and vanishes outside some fixed interval and phi and t is nth derivative of phi t, that I already told you. So basically if we are integrating from minus infinity to plus infinity, so what is the conclusion? If we are integrating from minus infinity to plus infinity phi t with del dash t, then we will get minus phi dash 0. So what is del dash t? It is nothing but derivative of del t. It is nothing but derivative of del t with respect to t. And what is phi dash 0? Phi dash 0 is basically d phi divided by dt, and we are putting t equals to 0. So this is phi dash 0. So also we can find out that del t from unit step, that is dut divided by dt. If we differentiate the unit step, then we can find out the value of impulse function. So basically if we integrate the unit impulse, then we can find out unit is this integration of unit impulse will get this will gives us unit step function. So and this differentiation of unit step will gives us unit impulse function. So all these things we can keep in mind, because it will be useful when we are solving some problems related to signal and system. Now we have complex exponential signal. Let us discuss this complex exponential signal. Basically we will encounter complex exponential signals in our signal and system course when we will do fast Fourier transform and discrete Fourier transform. So what is basically this is xt, it is represented as e raised to the power j omega naught t. So what is omega naught? Basically omega naught is nothing but 2 divided by t naught, that is your time, p naught is your time period. So depending maybe it is increasing exponential and decreasing. So there are two categories, we can further categorize this. So one is that increasing, we have increasing complex exponential. Then we have so what is the figure of increasing complex exponential? So that figure we can draw like this. We can draw like this. So we have, this is figure of increasing exponential, complex exponential. Then we have decreasing complex exponential also. So we have decreasing complex exponential. So what is that decreasing complex exponential? So it is like this. It is decreasing basically. It is like this. If we draw the decreasing complex exponential, so it is like, it looks like that. Basically it is decreasing. So it is decreasing complex exponential. Then we can this write because we have e raised to the power j omega naught t. So we can write in terms of cos and sine. So how to write this? Cos omega naught t and sine omega naught t. And what is t naught? So t naught equals to 2 pi divided by omega naught. So general complex exponential signal. So let us represent the general complex exponential signal. So how to represent the general complex exponential signal? So basically s equals to sigma plus j omega. Now we can represent xt equals to e raised to the power st. That is general representation. So basically we have s equals to sigma. If we replace this, then we will find out this expression. That is e raised to the power sigma t, then we have e raised to the power j omega t. Okay, so we can write in terms of, so basically this is I will tell you one thing that is very important. So basically this part is nothing but attenuation. Basically this sigma is basically attenuation. It is real part of s. So basically that part is basically that it represents basically attenuation. Okay, now if we can further see that uh, if we have sigma equals to, if we have sigma greater than 0, if we have sigma greater than 0, then e raised to the power sigma t, e raised to the power j omega, basically it is increasing exponential. If sigma less than 0, then it is decreasing exponential. So further, if we have only real part, if we consider only real part, then S is basically if we consider only real part, then what is our xt? So basically xt is nothing but e raised to the power sigma t. So again, if sigma is greater than 0, then it is increasing real exponential signal. So it is basically real exponential signal. So if sigma is less than 0, then it is a decreasing exponential signal, but it is real only. So basically there is no imaginary part. So this this is basically real. This is basically real exponential signal. So this is basically real exponential signal. Now we have another category of signal, that is we have sinusoidal signal. We have sinusoidal signal. So what is sinusoidal signal? So a continuous time sinusoidal signal can be represented as it is represented as xt equals to a cos omega naught t plus theta. And what is a? Okay, so where a is the amplitude. So what is a? A is basically the amplitude, and it is real quantity. So omega naught is basically is the radian per second. And what is theta? And theta is the phase angle. Theta is the phase angle in radians. So what is T naught? T naught is equals to 2 pi divided by omega naught. So basically it is periodic with period T naught. So what is that? Xt is periodic with period T naught. And what is omega naught? Omega naught is 2 pi divided by 2 pi f naught is basically the fundamental angular frequency. Okay, so basically we can represent a cos omega naught t plus theta equals to real part of, it can be represented in this form, real part of j omega naught t plus theta, and also a sine omega naught t plus theta is basically that imaginary part of e raised to the power j omega naught t plus theta. So one important thing is, if we multiply a with imaginary part of e raised to the power j omega naught t plus theta, then we are getting a sine omega naught t plus theta. The same, these two equations are basically same thing, that these two equations are basically same. So we can plot this sinusoidal signal. So we can plot this sinusoidal signal. So what is that? This is amplitude A, this is minus A, and what is that point? It is A cos theta. This point is basically A cos theta. And what is the time period? The time period is T naught. And what is T naught? T naught is 2 pi divided by omega naught. This is our time period. So this is the representation of the sinusoidal signal. So almost we have discussed almost all the basic discrete continuous time signals. Now we can see some basic discrete time signals also. So we have some basic discrete time signals. So let us start some basic discrete time signals. So we have this unit step sequence. So we have unit step. So what is unit step sequence? So unit step sequence is un equals to 1 for n is greater than or equal to 0, it is 0 for n less than 0. So if we consider the delayed version, then it is 1 for n greater than or equal to small k, and it is n for less than k, it is 0 only. So we can draw this diagram. We can draw the diagram of unit step signal. So it is like this. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to infinity. Now if we are providing some delay, so at point it will start from k, okay, it will start from k and so on. So all these amplitudes are 1 only. So this is u n minus k, this is n, this is 0, okay. So another signal is unit impulse sequence. Another signal is unit impulse sequence. So how to represent this unit steps impulse sequence? It is del n equals to 1 for n equals to 0. It is 0 for n not equals to 0. Then we have please give me only few seconds break, okay? I am taking water. So this another signal is that unit impulse signal, unit step sequence. So it is simply if we are taking some delayed version, then we have 1 for n equals to k and 0 for n not equals to k. So it can be represented like this. So at n equals to k, we have this. Basically it is delayed at n equals to k, and what is the value? It is 1. It is 1 only. So basically it is delayed at point k, and where k is an integer value, because it is a discrete time, so k should also an integer, okay. So what are the various properties we have for this unit step sequence? So likewise, if we multiply any discrete time signal with this xn, what we will get? We will get sample at n equals to 0. So if we multiply this with some delayed version, then we will get sample at this point. Now we can represent this unit step sequence in terms of impulse sequence by this summation formula, and it will go from minus infinity to n del of n. So basically if you see in case of continuous time signal, what is that ut? So it is nothing but minus infinity to t del tau d tau. So basically in discrete time you have just replaced this integral with this summation, and from which point you are going to integrate from here you are integrating from minus infinity to t, and here you are integrating from minus infinity to n only. Okay, this is the same property. This is basically these are same properties, but basically it is for continuous time signal. And basically it is for discrete time signal. Okay, also we can represent the xn as summation k equals to minus infinity to k equals to plus infinity xk del n minus k. Okay, so you can like this you can write as xn equals to summation k equals to minus infinity to k equals to plus infinity xk del n minus k. Okay, then we have complex exponential signal. We have complex exponential signal. So the complex exponential signal is basically the complex exponential signal is basically is of the form xn equals to e raised to the power j ohm naught n. So how to write this xn? Xn equals to e raised to the power j ohm naught n is cos ohm naught n plus j sine ohm naught n. Okay, so what is periodicity of, now we can find out the periodicity of e raised to the power j ohm naught n. So basically that I already told you that if you want to find out the period, then first step is to find out ohm naught divided by 2 pi, and if it is rational, then e raised to the power j ohm naught n has period equal to n. So all these things are clear. And what is m basically? And what is m? So m is basically positive. M is basically positive integer. Next thing is the order. The order of, the order for e raised to the power j ohm naught n to be periodic. Okay, so in order for j e raised to the power j ohm naught n to be periodic, so what should be the condition? The condition is that with Okay, if in order for e raised to the power j ohm naught n to be periodic with period, so what is the period? With period n, and it should be greater than 0, ohm naught must satisfy the following, satisfy the following condition. So what is the condition? Ohm naught divided by 2 pi equals to m by n. What is m? M is positive. M is positive integer. Okay, so okay, thus the sequence e raised to the power j ohm naught n is not periodic for any value of ohm naught. Okay, it is periodic only if ohm naught divided by 2 pi is a rational number, that I already told you. So what is the conclusion? So the conclusion is that ohm naught divided by 2 pi should be a rational number. So ohm naught divided by 2 pi should be a rational number. So this is the main condition. If e raised to the power j ohm naught n is periodic with period capital N that is greater than 0. So basically let us write again, ohm naught divided by 2 pi should be m by n, should be rational. If it is not satisfying this property, then it is not periodic. Okay, now let us solve one problem. So xt is given as cos t del t minus pi by 2. Now what should be the solution of this problem? So what is xt? What is a solution of this problem? What is xt? So how to solve this problem? So we can apply the property. So what is the property? The property is that if we have signal phi t, if multiply with del t minus t naught, so what we will get? We will get phi t naught del t minus t naught. So this is our property. Now if we compare this equation with this equation, then what is phi t? So phi t is basically cos t. Phi t is basically cos t. And what is t naught? T naught is basically pi by 2. So basically what we will get? We will get cos t multiplied by del t minus pi by 2. So it is nothing but phi. It is nothing but cos pi by 2 del t minus pi by 2. So what is cos pi by 2? It is 0 into del t minus pi by 2. So what we are getting finally? We are getting 0. Okay, we are getting 0. Now we can solve another question. So we can solve one more problem. So this solution signal is given, that xt is given. So what is xt? It is del t plus 5 plus del t minus 9. So this is our xt.
So the time is over.
Yes, yes. Few seconds. Give me a few minutes only. Okay, few minutes. So that problem is we want to the problem is if we integrate from minus 5 to 10, minus 6 to 10. Let us take minus 6 to 10. If we integrate minus 6 to 10 del t dt, what should be the answer? What should be the result? So what is the answer? First draw that xt. So what is xt? So xt is basically we have one impulse function that is present at minus 5. It is basically del t plus 5. There is one impulse function that is present at 9. That is del t minus 9. So what is the integration? The integration is from minus 6 to, so the integration is from minus 6 to 10. This is our integration. Now if we integrate from minus 6 to 10 this xt, so how many impulses, how many impulse area is there? This is one area, this is one area. There are two areas. So basically our answer is 2. So what is our answer? Our answer is 2. Okay. Okay, thank you all of you.